All right. Take your time coming back as you just understand a choice was made to allow the more real to be a part of your identity moving forward. And so we turn to those who have some questions for us this evening. Who do we begin with, John? And
Uh,
can they unmute?
oh, no. We begin with Jessica, then Jean-Francois.
All right. Yes, dear one.
Is it possible I go second? The fire's going out in my fireplace and I'm trying to get it restarted. Sorry.
No problem, Jessica. So, Jean-Francois?
Okay.
Yes, dear one. Where do we begin?
Oh, with good morning. That was really magical. Thank you for that. I had a, oh, hold on. Okay, I have two items that were coming to mind before we sat down today. And the first one's very practical. Okay, it's coming back to me. The first one's very practical, and it has to do with a restaurant that I used to manage just up the street. And I went in just to go see and say hi, and it just magically I met the new owners. The old owners sold it. There was new owners there, and they remembered me, and I remembered them, and it was a really wonderful connection. And they offered me work, or at least offered me the chance to interview for work, and they're really excited about it. I'm excited about it, but I'm really 50-50 because part of me feels that from both my symptoms, which are severely reduced. I feel like in Montana, I was like 70% incapacitated, where here I feel like it's only 30%. And I know I've mentioned before, I forget about my symptoms here, but there's still something that I contend with and that I need to work with. And I don't know that I can actually do the work. I'm hoping you can just kind of comment on the energy because part of me is like, oh, don't go back to where you work. And part of me is like, oh, go back to your work. It'll be nice. So, what do you think?
All right. And so certainly so, an opportunity has presented itself.
Mm-hmm.
And the struggle is, will I fall back into who I was?
Oh, great. Yeah.
And so with tonight's meditation, you really did answer that. And so now as you look with new eyes from who you are
Mm-hmm.
becoming, what is the more optimal future that calls you? Will you fulfill what you dream? Not so much
Yes.
10 or 20 years, but in this moment, in this shorter term moment, does it provide you with an environment that supports who you're becoming? Does it provide you with the means that you require? Those are some of your questions. And so as
Yeah.
you look at them with new eyes this evening, you have different answers, don't you?
I do. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm allowing it in entirely. Part of me feels like this is a no-brainer, especially because I limited. I said I would not be able to offer more than 3 evenings worth of effort, which I think is true. And two would be more comfortable, to be perfectly honest. But there's something happened in the meditation. I don't know how much I can share. But it's around a piece of clothing that feels like I'll be wearing there. Or that I'll be wearing in my future. I don't know. I don't want to. I don't want to label it and connect it to anything yet. Is it?
Yes. And so to explore that. So the change has occurred. You are different now.
Hmm.
And so now as
Yeah.
you in your imagination spend time in the role, does it fit? Does it feel comfortable? Is it who you are? Is it
Yeah.
does it allow for the expression of who you are becoming? That's really the key. And your intuition, your physical body will tell you
Yeah.
whether it's comfortable, whether it's uh, expansive, is perhaps the best way to say it.
Yes, and it doesn't feel that way. It does feel like, oh, it's it's very busy. It can be fast paced. It could also be, on a slower evening, it could be fine. Um, but I'm not guaranteed slow evenings. It's
Yes.
and the thing is right now, and this maybe is sidestepping it a little bit, but I you spoke of getting involved with complexity, and Lazarus has as well, and that makes things easier. And I feel like that's happening. It's all very, in beginning stages because I've connected. I've been wanting to work with the land here, and I've connected with someone where I'm going to have the chance to, do landscaping and architecture, not architecture, sorry, agriculture, but just on a very small scale, just or at least seems like it would be small, but it's very comfortable. It feels like there's that you don't have to show up. You can show up. You can, and it's very loose. And then I have this chance with the an art institute here to teach a stone shaping class, and that also feels very organic and easy flowing. And my healing work is wonderful. It's going so well since I've begun, and I think and I thank you because identifying as a professional healer has shifted it for me in a concrete way. And my techniques working with my higher self expand sometimes right while I'm in session. Well, where suddenly, well, the goddess energy comes in, or it's just, I don't feel like I'm channeling, but I'm definitely accessing. I'm not sure. It just healing energy. In any way, I feel like I think my concern is I don't want to sabotage it so that I can be sure that I can pay the rent in 3 months, kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And so,
Yeah,
yeah,
so as you stand before the opportunity, is it from fear or is it from opportunity?
yes, it's from both. And the trouble for me is that it's anything that happens magically in my life, I feel like, oh, that's my spirituality. I've meant to do this. And, I got another job offer last week, and from the person who had the job at the Art Institute, she's like, hey, I think you could take my place, as the youth program coordinator. And I was like, that's really exciting. And I said, I'm gonna look into it. And I did. And it's a partially social mobility job where you have to connect and network well with people, which I'm good at and it's easy for me. And it's also a heavily administrative job, which is working with spreadsheets and facts and informations and numbers and filling out stuff, which is not my future. And I ended up turning it down. And I don't know. I think I just wanted to talk about it a little bit because I really feel 50-50 about it. It's kind of, in a way, it's nice to be home. I worked there as one of the highlights of my life was managing that restaurant for 4 years. And it was wonderful. It was live music and it was a cultural center here. And it was all ages, and which I also like a lot. And there's a part of me that's like, oh, I'd love to embrace that energy. So I believe it's going to unfold. I'm just going to continue paying attention as I walk into it and make my choice. So I feel confident about that. I was just curious what you might say. Was there anything else that you would like to add?
Yeah, so in that case, in order to answer the concerns,
Okay.
it's important to simply be aware of what they are, which you are doing. And as you look to see, well, it doesn't suit me to be there when it's very busy.
Mm,
It's a conversation you can have and say, look, are there slower periods? Is it possible for there to be some flexibility and to design it essentially if,
hmm
if it's where you want to be.
Right. Right. That's a good point. Yeah, I will figure that out.
And so as you just let it be, oh, okay, I could create this. And then the question becomes, but do I want it?
Yeah, that's
Is it my need? What is my need?
it's I hate that it's a little bit no. And it's because it's in some ways, I tell you why I don't think I like it because it feels like a shortcut. I'm like, I'm on this path that I've been, it's been years, and I mean, I know it's been lifetimes in the making, but I'm on it, and I'm like, I like being on it, and I like how it's unfolding, and it takes courage to be on it because there are fears of, oh, what if I run out of money? What if I, that kind of thing like that, and it's minimal, but it's enough that every once in a while I do have to respond to that. Um, yeah, so yeah, I don't know if I had anything more there.
Yes, and so
Um,
as you think of it
yeah,
in terms of who you are becoming,
hmm
is it in
yeah,
line, in line with who you are becoming? And that's really when you ask that question, your higher self will be with you as you answer.
that's great. That's enough for me to go on to the next question.
Wonderful. And what is that?
All right. Well, success cube. Now, the thing with the success cube, I've known of the success cube for decades. I've never actually done any work with Lazarus in regards to it. I've only heard about it peripherally from friends, and I have an idea of what it is. And the first thing is the success cube makes me angry. I hate that there's a success cube, and I'm hoping you'll comment on that. And um, I think I understand that part of my dynamic, my methodology has been to just like if my success cube was full, I'm destroying stuff so that I can have room to experience success again. Like there's something like that, and I hope you can comment on that as well.
Yes, perfect. Wonderful. All right. And so are you familiar with the concept of allowing your subconscious mind to be an ally on your journey?
Yes.
Okay, so the success cube is a mechanism to use to build rapport, to build that alliance with your subconscious.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to
That makes
look like
sense.
a cube. It can look like a library. It can look like whatever, however you like to explore the realm of your subconscious mind, which is basically a data repository with consciousness. So in today's world, suddenly AI is the theme, is the new thing that you have to learn, you have to get comfortable with, that you have to explore. And what is it? Well, you feed it some information and it feeds information back to you, and then however you respond to that, well, then it accommodates you. Essentially, it's like your subconscious mind. So you can access any information that is in the known world at any given time.
Yeah.
So it's a personal reality. Personal being not limited in any way because it encompasses all of your lifetimes also.
Mm. Oh.
So as you let in, the subconscious is vast, is not limited, is expanding and evolving also. So that you don't get a subconscious mind when you're born and it just stays that way. It evolves with you. So as you let in, okay, so my success, my definitions of success change with me. So when you go back to your adolescent had an idea of what he had to be successful. Information that came from his outer world and also from his family, from his genealogy, all sorts of inputs around what it is to be a success. And a lot of it is time-based. So whatever year that was, whatever that decade was, whatever that from when you were born until your adolescence, that framework
Okay.
taught you what success is. Now, Lazarus has often said, look to your father, to the energy of your father, to the beliefs of your father, to the way that your father interacted with the world, the outer world. often that's where you're getting your success clues from. Now, it doesn't have to be the male of the family. For those of you who had mothers who went to work, they can hold that energy. They can hold those definitions equally or as a priority. Those of you who had a homemaker who really just focused on creating a beautiful home and raising the kids and sacrificing in order so that the kids would thrive. That was a pattern. That was part of the chauvinism. That was part of the template that well, a woman's place is in the home, a woman's place. You're a good mother if you do this. If you go and seek a career, well, what are you doing with motherhood? So what's wrong with you that you're not pursuing motherhood? So you see, there's mixed messages from mother and father. So it's whichever parent engaged the outer world. It could be both. Be both.
Okay.
Many of you had two parents that went out to work, and you only saw them when they came home from work, where they could make the time to be with you, whatever that is. Each of you have your personal reality. You had the scripts that played out for you. You understood, oh, okay, I had to learn to work with these emotions, these beliefs. I wanted to heal these topics. And so these are the parents I picked. But embedded in all of that are definitions of who you should be. What is success? Now, as you are a mapmaker magician, you may have already worked through those early definitions and discarded them. Well, I know that what it means to be a man looks like this picture, whatever it is your internal picture is. But along the way, you said, well, that's just not me. That picture doesn't allow me to express who I am. It doesn't allow me to have feminine energy. It doesn't allow me to be integrated, to have both masculine and feminine energy. And so many of you have worked through that already on your journey and said, no, I'm not going to force myself to be that old definition. But you did choose something instead. And that's where you're at now. Okay, I picked something else. I either rebelled against it or I took a little bit from it and then tossed the rest, and then I have this void where I need to define what success is. And success is different when you're in relationship with other people. It's different when you're in a career, in a vocation, or when you're dealing with creating reality as the mapmaker magician. Success is simply where you think you should be. So as you put aside the judgments of where you should have been, could have been, would have been, and you open up to what you can be, what's possible for me if I just open, if I gather new energy from the unknowns, if I allow my optimal future, who's most positive, to show me what success is. Now, all of that information is available. The unknowns, it needs to move from the unconscious to the subconscious first. But there's a whole lot of information that is immediately accessible from your subconscious mind. So you want to work with your higher self. You want to have your higher self with you when you interact with your subconscious. Because you're going to want to change things. You're going to want to write new instructions. And so you can do that in a meditation. You can have a book of beliefs that you flip through and, oh yeah, that's what I used to believe about success. Cross it out. turn the page, write a new one. Then work a bit of magic. Breathe intention into it, luminous intent. Have your higher self, your soul, your spirit with you, gathering. Or if you're just really want to have more dimension to your success, I have a little bit of success. I have trickles of success here. But I struggle over here, whatever arena that is. You don't have to label it. And so you go to your subconscious mind in your success cube, the keeper of success. Could just be your subconscious, could just be the one you always meet with for sake of familiarity and ease and rapport. But it could be embodied as someone else called the keeper of success. And there are rules that you wrote. You don't remember that you wrote them. You wrote them before you came in to this lifetime. And you wrote, when I accomplish these things, then I'm a success. And if I don't accomplish them, let me know. Let me know that I'm not on track, that I'm distracted, that I have a limiting belief, that I have negative emotions, or I have pain or shame around those things. Make sure you let me know, because success for me is something specific. And how I know I've achieved it is I have a certain feeling of success. It might be a level of joy, might be a euphoria, might be a sense of peace and love and gratitude. Now, one of the questions you're going to have is, well, if I decided all that stuff before I came into this lifetime, and I've been changing and growing and expanding, how do I know that success is still the right one for me? And that's for you to find, to evaluate and to choose. Because you may find, well, I used to want a fancy car. Maybe you still do, and that's all right. But a fancy car looked a certain way depending on what age you were. So your adolescent might have wanted a muscle car, but then your spiritual adult wants a Tesla or whatever. Or just throwing off ideas for what they might be, that they're different. Might be now that you want a Jeep that has 4-wheel drive, because the spiritual adult goes out in nature and needs to be able to get around easily and effortlessly. So your spiritual adult has new definitions of success that need to be instructed. The subconscious needs to know this is the priority now. And I want to match it with these feelings. Because you don't have any problem with the feelings that are going to tell you when you're successful. You still want those emotions. You still want that expansiveness, that euphoria, that happiness and joy that is part of success. And the gratitude and the love and all the things. But the form changes with you. And it's important for you to consciously choose the new form. And that's where you're at right now. You don't really want to work with your success cube because, well, the anger says, but I'm not a success because I don't feel those feelings, you see. Or I don't think those thoughts. And when you let in, I don't actually have to accomplish the thing. Because thoughts and feelings are states of being. And I can explore them. And by exploring them, it's actually easier for me to choose what I want. It's easier to create something specific in that new resonance. So your optimal future has certain thoughts and feelings and a resonance. And because it is the most optimal, the most positive expression of you, would you consider that that you is also the most successful you?
Jean-Francois, did you hear that?
Mm.
We lost him.
So we'll just continue to speak about it because
Sorry, I had trouble unmuting Tara. Sorry about that.
right.
Would you mind repeating the question?
Yeah, so you're experiencing your optimal future self.
Mm-hmm. Yes, right.
The most
That makes perfect sense
positive
to me.
version.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, do you assume automatically that, well, that me must be successful?
Yeah. Yep, I do.
Yes.
Yeah, it's absolutely clear as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
there are clues to success.
Yes.
Now, do you have to wait until those things unfold for you to feel that way? Or
I
can
don't.
you choose in imagination to
Yeah.
explore those feelings and those thoughts? To
Yeah, I
explore
feel like
the state of
I'm
being?
sorry.
Go ahead.
I feel like in the moments that I connect powerfully with my future, my optimal future, it's always clear. It's almost like a download. I just the energy is. I'm absolutely feeling like a success, and I'm kind of like, come on, reality, let's do that. let's match this, and I've had moments of just impatience where like I want to be up to big things, and and I feel like there's a discrepancy for sure, and so I think my anger or the thing I think that my anger towards the idea or my idea of what the success cube is, it's like, well, there's this invisible wall somewhere inside of me that's deciding you only get this much unless you make it bigger, unless you make this container bigger. And I know you're feeling like these magnificent things are here and ready for you, and you can see yourself being them, but in your physical reality you don't get to experience them because of this container which is too small to hold them. That's the way I've been holding it. And does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
And that presumes cause and effect.
Yes, I think you're telling me that they're not connected. Does that seem fair?
Yes, exactly. What we're saying
Yeah.
is the choice to step into what does it look like? What does it feel like? How do I know? You're developing the beliefs by doing that exploration.
Mm.
You're beginning to understand, oh, so what's different about who I was a moment ago and what I'm thinking and feeling when I'm successful, when I'm in that optimal future, is, well, I believe in myself.
Mm-hmm.
I believe life is easy.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that I'm aligned, that I'm connected, that I'm more.
Those are some of my criteria.
Yes. And so
Yeah.
now you take those specific ahas that you got and you go to your book of beliefs
Mm-hmm.
and you write in lesser self. Here's a secret. You can feel these feelings before you have what you want. You don't have to wait. In fact, when you feel those feelings, you're going to feel safer
Yes.
and you're
And
going to
that
draw more of what you want. And so when you feel as though you're disconnected, this is what you should do. And here's the formula. And you're going to write out what you felt and what you thought and state of being and just tap into that optimal future. And those are your instructions. You're putting them in the subconscious mind. It's an instruction. It's a program for your lesser self.
Mm.
Now, maybe it comes as a form of a journal where you and your lesser self share secrets with each other. Maybe it's comes as a crystal ball a skull consciousness crystal or something like that. Let it be fun. Let it be whatever
Yeah,
yourself resonates with, whatever
yeah.
lesser self is going to say.
Wait a minute. Are you
You'll come-
noticing that I cannot handle the Book of Beliefs? I just hate that book.
Yes, you don't have to use the Book of Beliefs.
It's not me. I know it has not worked for me.
But the
But
lesser
the
self
crystal, yes,
has ways of communicating that are safe.
yeah,
So for some people, it's standing in the shower and getting an idea. Wow, I'm so connected when I'm in the shower. Then I step out, forget what I thought. But the lesser self might say, "Oh, you're gonna get the best ideas in the shower." Write that in there, that secret for it. It doesn't have to be the Book of the Beliefs, but it's a program.
right.
It's an instruction. And the secret is being shared with the lesser self. Because you see, the lesser self is sort of out in the cold and doesn't know enough, and all those boundaries of I'm just too dense, I'm in the wrong resonance, it's so hard, it's such a struggle. But it's like getting a fortune cookie. Here's the secret. Feel these feelings, think these thoughts, do this thing. Does that help?
Yeah, I feel like I not knowingly, but I've been doing that. I think the beach is my shower, and it's been such a gift, and it's so funny. I tell so many people I lived here for 11 years, and during that whole time, I really went to the beach 20 times, and in the past 2 months, I've been more than that, and and it's amazing that I didn't see it before. But I think I don't want to belabor it, and I know other people will get to talk today. But I really appreciate that, Tara.
Yes. So
I
just
will.
consider that the
Okay.
anger is appropriate, because
Okay.
the anger tells you,
Yeah.
I feel limited.
Mm,
And that voice is not you the more.
mm,
And so it's the lesser self saying, I need a solution. I need something new.
mm,
And I don't know how to express it other than that I'm frustrated.
mm.
And it's something around success. All I know is that is the problem.
Right. Right. And yeah. Okay. I think there's a part of me. I don't know if it's. I don't know. Part of my understanding is connected to just linear processing, and I think that's and when I let go of that, it becomes more fluid, that it's like you can be experiencing without having done the proper homework kind of thing, and in fact experiencing sometimes is the proper homework.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, I I think I have enough to be able to go forward.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tyra. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Absolutely. Likewise.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, dear.
Nicole, did you have a question related to this just before we move on to Jessica? A quick something you wanted to quickly ask, or can you wait till after everybody? Nicole?
I think I don't have a question related to what John Francois was talking about.
All right.
So
So we'll
listening,
talk to you at the end.
So we'll put you on the list. Okay,
Wonderful.
thanks.
All right, Jessica, where do we begin?
I don't think she can hear you. She's not on mute. Yeah, it's not allowing me to unmute by myself till. Okay, thank you.
John, have you?
Yeah, it is now. Um, First of all, thank you. The preview with everything that Jean-Francois and you talked about, and the meditation, because definitely I think what I want to talk about and help with is about focusing and connecting with the new me and the future me. I keep reverting to really old things, and I realized some issues. I've had some similar things happen with several people where I was misunderstood and judged. And then what happens, I just realized recently, is that what happens is then I label it misunderstood, then I'm in martyr. Oh no, I beat myself up. It feels like I'm in an old place. And so I've been trying to reframe everything as like, you know, why don't I see it as my higher self is working overtime to help me get these answers, which is something I felt like I heard you say a few minutes ago. Um, because I realized that these people judging me were a reflection of how much I judge myself.
Beautiful.
And, so that I think is what I need help with more than anything.
All right.
That
So
I'm having a hard time going back to neutral. Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
it's a very common occurrence that when you're doing your spiritual work, you're making huge steps, huge strides in expanding. And then this shows up, whatever it is. In your case, it's that sense of being someone being critical or being rejected or whatever it is. Misunderstood is the word you used. So, and now you're recognizing, oh, I judge myself. And that's a clue, isn't it? That's a clue to what the lesser self uses to stay safe. So
Right.
as you separate out that behavior from you the more is connected. You the more is the one who's expanding. You the more is the one who has beautiful dreams and visions for the future and is optimistic and hopeful and all that. The lesser self, on the other hand, it really is a very different resonance and has strategies, very specific ones that are familiar, that are the ones you default to. Now, does that mean you're always going to default to those? No, but that's the one that's popping up above the water level, so to speak, from the unconscious, from the subconscious, is popping up this thing. Oh, I feel misunderstood. Not because I really am, maybe I am, but that's not the point. The point is that feeling. I feel misunderstood. And as you look at it, as you separate yourself out from it and say, okay, how has that thought kept me safe? The child in you. How has it kept me safer to be misunderstood than to be embraced, than to have my thoughts, my ideas matter? So it's very common for someone who's creative when they're young to share their creativity just without boundary, without judgment, without awareness that there can be anything but joy in the creative process. And then they get shut down in different ways. When they're in school, it's not now, it's not the right time. There's a time and a place for everything. Calm down, be like everybody else, be normal. That's one way that it can get shut down. And so then the child gets the message that they can't trust themselves around their own creativity. And so then that begins a pattern of always looking out here. Is it the right time? Can I do it now? Now? Is this the right time? But everybody else has already stopped paying attention because they're equally self-focused. But of course, the child doesn't get that understanding. The adults never admit to that. The child is just restricted. There's a time and a place for everything. And so the message is, don't be creative unless we let you be creative. Of course, creativity doesn't work that way, does it? And so over the years, you have reclaimed your right as a creative person. And now you're expanding into even more of that. Now, this is what I'm meant to do here. That is a part of my voice. That's how I have positive impact. So as you're expanding into that, what's popping up is, hey, this little mechanism, safety mechanism from your childhood is still in the beliefs, and it doesn't fit with the new resonance. So what is it? What is the thing that is popping up? Well, I misunderstood.
Mm.
I misunderstood what life is about. I must be wrong. It must be that I'm wrong. Rather than, in a perfect world, you would enter in a state of grace. You would express yourself. You would flow that creativity, spontaneous. You would create beautiful realities. And you would be loved for it. You would be honored for it. And you would become more and more and more. So you knew that coming in, that was the way it should be.
Mm.
But in the absence of it, of that environment, the absence of the supportive environment doesn't mean you didn't get any support, but you got the message, not now. And it didn't make any sense to your inner self, because your inner self doesn't operate in time. And the truth of the matter is, as all of you who are creative know, it's a dance to open up to creativity.
Mm.
It's a gathering of energy. It's an opening up and aligning and then flowing something new. It's not like when you read a book, you just open it up and you read a page and you understand it. You understand what you understand. And then you close the book and that's it. The creative process is very different. It is all consuming. It is what all of you long for. Because when you're in that mode, you are connected. And your soul is communing with you and flowing ideas and emotion and futures and realities. And you just can't wait to get it out of you into the world. But the childhood was very restrictive, and the adolescence wasn't much better. Because if it didn't please the right people, the ones that you needed to belong with, then it didn't work either. So by the time you step into your adult self, you've decided. You have judgments around creativity. You have judgments around yourself. And you decide there must have been something really wrong with me that I can't get it right. Now, that was the chauvinistic template that we're describing. In the template of chauvinism, it wasn't possible to be honored and valued.
Mm.
Because so much of that creativity is the feminine energy. Not only, but when the feminine isn't honored and valued, and the masculine isn't allowed to commune with the feminine, is kept separate, creativity is very difficult. It's a struggle. And it took a lot of courage for you to be creative anyway. But there's still that fear. As I open to the next level, I'm afraid I'm going to do it wrong. And you have people coming at you misunderstanding. But actually, as you noticed, the real deal is that I misunderstand. I was told that there was something wrong with me. Now you understand that's a level of shame. But not in the way you think, because you've done a lot with shame. You lifted a lot of shame. You don't have a lot of shame left to lift. But there is this one strand that says you should have been something different.
Mm.
And that's painful. Because how can you be anyone other than who you are? And that's what's coming up for so many of you now. Is that bit of shame that says you should have been something different. And that is pain. Because it was a lie. You're always meant to be who you are. In fact, you're here to explore more of who you are, to shine your light brighter, to love more deeply. But you came into a challenging environment, not for no reason. As a consciousness, you came in because you knew, I want to be done with that. I don't want to carry that forward. Because that is the clue. That is the key to evolving human consciousness. If you can settle that misunderstanding once and for all, and be free to honor and value who you are and who you are becoming, that's a new world. That's the beginning of a new world. And that's what you're up to. Part of the map so that you're here to make. And it's an important one. In your case, you will see it evidenced in the flow of creativity. It's just going to be a lot easier.
Mm. This is so big because I just moved into this cabin I've been gifted to write in, and it's my dream, and I'm terrified. And something I had this big aha when you were talking is I've been using all this energy and creativity to create failure, martyrhood, drama stories. I'm very creative at it. And how to shift that understanding with the creativity to understand a
As you
different.
understand,
Mm,
yes, absolutely. It is an expression of creativity. And yet at the same time, that arena, that of the lesser self,
mhm,
is never truly creative because
mm.
it's always working with what's known already.
So a false creativity is what I was getting.
But what you're getting is I'm just being busy. I'm kept busy. And at the
Yeah,
end of the day, did I really prioritize my creative expression?
right,
Maybe not.
right.
And so as you really get, it's not coming up for no reason. But I get to choose something new. I get to choose,
Mm,
evaluate myself. Okay, I set aside an hour or 2 hours or 5 hours, whatever the time. There's no set time. It's whatever you say, 10 minutes, whatever. I'm going to write if that's your form. I'm going to paint. I'm going to enjoy beauty. Whatever it is, there's no limit to what you can explore in creativity. But as you block time for it and you say, you know what? I'm going to be tempted to fill that space with something else. But I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to engage in whatever it is I decided I wanted to explore. And I'm not going to judge myself because I've told myself I want to know I want to explore creativity, my creativity, my voice, my light, my love. That's what I'm here to do. And I have all these reasons not to, because that's safer.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you make the commitment, no, I'm not going to do that. I could do that. It's what's familiar, but I'm going to begin carving out a set amount of time where I close the door on that part of me. I tell my lesser self, look, I need to experience something new so that I can find new solutions to your dilemma. But I got to have some time to do it.
Mm.
So we're not saying that you're always in the lesser self. You are not. You are more conscious of the patterns because you're ready to let them go, because you're recognizing it's busy work. It gives me a sense of productivity, which is not the same thing as creativity.
Mm-hmm.
So you know this stuff inside out. You know your patterns. And not to say that you know them perfectly, but you know them enough.
Right.
So as you say, okay, it came at me, and then I recognize, oh, this is my stuff. So if I don't want to create it out here, I have to change something. But first I got to know how it keeps me safe.
Mm.
Now recognize, oh, it's so much safer to just regurgitate, keep myself busy. Because I'm afraid if I tap into that creativity, that I'm going to find out that I'm not creative.
Exactly.
Because that's what the lie told you. The lie told you that. That's how you survived.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to test, but we'll let you in on the truth. We won't call it a secret because it's not a secret. It's what you've been exploring in yourself. The truth of the matter is, you're at that point where you've told your higher self, you told God Goddess, hey, look, if I don't get to do this now, what's the point of being here? That's the heart to heart you've had with the goddess.
Yes.
And so you create the space, you create the cabin. And as you let in, it was a gift to yourself and it was a gift from the goddess
Mm.
to let you know you're on the right track and it is your priority. It does matter. And then you get all up in, okay, but what are people going to like and what form's going to be acceptable? And then part of you says, well, I don't care about any of that. But then, well, how am I going to make money with it? And how am I going to survive? And there's another part of you that says, I don't care about that. So what you want to do is filter out, okay, the concerns of safety and security are my lesser self. The concern with approval from the outside world, that's my lesser self too. Valid, but not very useful. So now I need to spend a little bit more time just exploring what's possible, what's fun, what's fun for me. So if I'm expressing something and then I start judging myself, would you put that in the fun category? Probably not. So something about the way that self-expression was executed, you might say, the process you did, for whatever reason, led you to judge yourself. So something has to change in what you call creative process, perhaps. Maybe to open it up to you know what? I always have done this, but then I judge myself for it. So
Mhm.
something needs, I need a new way. I need a new pathway. And
And
that,
would it be helpful for me, excuse me for interrupting, would it be helpful for me to do a process with my lesser self in the same way we work with the child or the adolescent that's getting in the way and
well,
not understanding things?
it's more optimal to work directly with the child and the adolescent first.
Okay. Okay.
And then if that hasn't shifted the energy, if there's still something there, some anxiety or pressure or judgment or whatever, then yes, you can do a mind meld. So your lesser self, your optimal future, your higher self. So the order would be, first of all, you receive what you need from your higher self. And then your lesser self appears and your optimal future. You could use you the more, but actually, because you are usually you the more, especially when you're connected with your higher self, that's not really enough. You need something beyond who you currently are. So going forward in time, you reach for your optimal future, the most positive you, the you that is living the life, living the dream, has everything handled, whatever that means. So there's that sense of calm and peace and joy and love and gratitude and connection in that optimal future. And then the lesser you is the one that's fearful or constrained or martyred, whatever expression it is. It's something when you default into it, you don't like yourself very much and you want to get out of it quickly. And so there's the you that's represented as your lesser self. There's nothing wrong with the lesser self. The lesser self is to be congratulated for surviving. But the lesser self doesn't have the ability to connect with the future in the way that you do.
Okay.
And so the lesser self is inherently unsafe. That's the bottom line. I feel unsafe. I feel like I don't belong. Those are the two energies that are always at work. So if you handle the I don't feel safe in the child, a lot of times the lesser self lightens up quite a bit. And if you handle the I don't belong in the adolescent, also, they now have their own reality. They're now having everything they need and they want. So the adaptive child is now the free child and the magical child. The adolescent is now the curious adolescent, full of wonder, not the wounded one. Those two components doesn't have to take long. It just needs to be a minute with each. Because your imagination is very powerful. And they know what they want. So then the lesser self is not as debilitated. The lesser self is not as negative. It's more, oh, when is this going to change? What do I need to do? I don't understand is often the complaint. I just don't understand. I don't get it. I thought I was doing everything I needed to do, but it just didn't work. That's sort of the energy of the lesser self after the child's been healed and the adolescent's been healed. They're off your stage. Now you can be with the version of you that's constricted but not devastated. Okay?
Mm.
So there's more of a frustration level than something deeper. So as you allow that to be the lesser self who's going to mind meld with the optimal future. Higher self's managing the energies. You're a witness. So this whole process is really for you in the current time. You, the conscious mind. And you're going to see them put their foreheads together. They are you. You're going to recognize them. One's going to be a little constrained, the other's going to be expansive. And the optimal future self's going to flow beautiful new energy into the lesser self. And in that flow of energy is understanding that it's going to be okay, that you actually make it, that magic happens, everything lines up, new opportunities, new connections, the creativity flows, and look who I become. And that's really all the lesser self needs to know. And as that energy fills the lesser self, she becomes you.
Mm.
You the more. And so now it's just you, your optimal future, and your higher self. And now you can ask for what you want. Or you can start your creative process. And begin to flow the insights that you got, they're valid. Okay, what do I want to create now? What would be a good idea? What should I do? Should I stay in the cabin? Should I go explore? Should I go take a drive? Should I write? Some idea will come. Does that help?
That helps quite a bit. And I would like to have a little bit of help with what this story that just happened with several friends that we had a difficult time, was misunderstood and judged and rejected. And then I got these big insights about other things it was reflecting. And I also was in confusion about how there's a part of me, I think that it's possibly the one that's wanting to lean into the more, that I'm more willing than ever to let go of people that I'm not in alignment with, that are not helping me, and I'm helping, we're helping each other go into the more. And so part of me tells myself that's what it was about. You were not letting go. You were still going into this old place of seeking approval and, not wanting to, a child idea of not wanting to reject someone else. Is that what some of it was? And also the part of me that still feels hurt, even though I can see the wisdom of how it came out in the end.
So
Or should I not be busy with thinking about any of that and focus on everything you just shared?
well, it came up for some reason, but now that you know what the pattern is, you can forgive yourself. And in the forgiving of yourself for playing out the script.
Yes.
So you allowed them to be more real, they had impact.
Right. Yes.
So it's easy to get caught up in, I got to fix that. And
right.
if I can fix that and get them to love me and respect me and honor me, then
I got that. No, this is all perfect. Let go. But then some old default goes into, oh, but I feel hurt. And that's just the lesser stepping in is what I.
Well, that would be the child or the adolescent. And so that's why we says, yes, you first spend a moment with your child and make sure she's okay. She hasn't absorbed the impact of the adult reality. If she has, if it's triggered something in her, well, my friends always reject me, or they don't love me, or whatever it is.
Right.
If she's not completely happy and free to be when you check in on her, then have your higher self bring her to the place where she is.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't take very long. You've already built that pathway. And so you say,
and I forgot about that.
So. We're not doing that anymore. That's not your reality. You don't have to live that anymore. Yeah, it happened, but you don't have to stay there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that piece, and then the adolescent, It only has to take a minute, but do not forget.
Right.
Because otherwise the lesser self is weighed down with all of that stuff
Yes.
and isn't really that willing to shift because they know what the truth is,
Hmm.
whatever that is,
Okay.
whatever that pain says.
Right.
All right, you've got it. And it's on the recording.
Yes.
You can just
Thank.
follow along with the recording and do the process.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
We love you so. You're right on track.
Thank you.
Beautiful. All right, John, who is next?
Brianna.
All right, yes, dear one.
Hello.
Where do we begin?
So I had so much open up from a month ago when you and I spoke about why it is that feel so connected to exploring so many different religions, theologies, philosophies, and whatnot, and your insight about me having been all of those things, and that's been a very wonderful experience to now when it comes up just be present and kind of honor that that has been my reality in different dimensions or lifetimes. So thank you for that. And what that leads to now is this idea that if I do believe it's all happening at one time, but we, as humans in this physical body and experiencing matter, we assign time. So the idea of past lives. So trying to be present to whether it be past or whether it's all happening at the same time kind of doesn't matter, but the idea that if I am, say for instance, connecting with, let's just say for instance, my mother who is on the other side. So what, like this idea that if she's available to me there, does that mean that she hasn't reincarnated again? Like all those in the, quote unquote, like the heavens or whatnot, that like, will they only be available until they get reincarnated again? Or
And that is a good question. So
okay.
that question comes from the paradox of I'm in time and space.
Mm-hmm.
And even, and if I interact with my mother as a spirit form, as I know her, then am I holding her? Am I locking her into my time and space? In a sense you are, but not really. So here's the reality. Because it's a paradox. They're both true. All time is now, and there's time and space. So meaning there's no time, there's beyond time. There's the you that is not affected by time at all, that exists before time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is true for your mother as well. So as you see the you that is beyond time, there's your higher self. There's a true self that is connected to your higher self. And there's a soul that is connected to God, Goddess. All of you have soul flowing through you. All of you are connected to God, Goddess. And it is that soul energy that flows through you that determines, do I experience soul in all its fullness, which is not really possible, by the way, in time and space? Or is it a downstepped energy? So higher self has a downstepped energy that is more personal, more relatable than soul in its fullness.
Mm-hmm.
And so we encourage you to work with higher self when you're communing with other beings, even yourself, even your soul. And because your higher self helps to interpret what's relevant to this lifetime.
Mm.
Because you see, your higher self is the source of all your lifetimes.
Mhm.
So you are all of them.
Mhm.
And they're really simultaneous, but they each have their own timeline. So you can hop from one to the other and say, oh, well, back in the 1300s, it was the Middle Ages. It was dark and painful, and there was powerlessness, and I didn't have access to my magic. But then I hop over to Lemuria. Lemuria was much longer, much earlier, over 90,000 years ago. And yet, I feel more connected. And I was more magical. I was a healer. And I can feel that right now. I can go be with me in that lifetime, just like I can go to the 1300s. So you see, we're just giving you a little bit more to work within your imagination around time and lifetimes. And the higher self is not in time. That's very important to understand.
Mhm.
Has never been in time. Has never been part of the physical plane. Only experiences the illusion of the physical plane through you, through your perceptions, through your consciousness.
Mhm.
And that's the gift that you give your higher self by interacting with your higher self.
Mhm. I do.
Now, that's the same when you interact with your mother on the other side of the veil. You're interacting with the personality of her as you knew her, but that's not who she really is it? You're actually experiencing the light and the love that she is, the soul that she is,
Mhm.
that is free from time and space, free of the pain of the physical plane.
Mhm.
And she may reincarnate in what looks like, which is really just a parallel timeline, you see, but it
Mhm.
starts differently than the one she was in.
Mhm.
But she doesn't have to. She has all her lifetimes, just as you do, and she's free of time. And so when you work with her, when you allow her to be with you, what's important about communing with her is partly the love that you know from this lifetime.
Mhm.
And even more importantly, the love and the light that she is as a soul and that
Mhm.
you are, because it connects you with your own soul. The
Mhm.
souls had an agreement.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're going to help each other in many ways. And that love is eternal. And when you really let that in, it gives you a sense of peace. Oh my gosh, I don't even have to work hard to connect with her
Mhm.
because she's always available. Because she's not limited by time and space.
Yes.
I just have to do whatever ritual I need to do to open my perceptions. But when I just feel the love, there is no time. I don't have to do anything special. I don't have to do a ritual. I just have to feel love. And that connects me. Does that help?
Oh, yes. Um, Thank you. Yes, I definitely, yes. Um, so on that, okay, so switch that, kind of turn the mirror, so to speak. And if someone is, say, communing with me in my afterlife, but I'm here now, but I am also a soul on the other side of the veil, then I'm just curious. I've never really, up until actually just this afternoon, thought about that I've ever experienced like the to be there for someone who is maybe in a material realm that is calling to me.
Yeah.
Does that, yeah.
Yeah,
So what
so
about
a good
that?
example would be, okay, so you had a lifetime where you had a child or children,
Mm-hmm.
and at the end of your life you passed away, and they called upon you
Mm-hmm.
to love them. And so you did, as a soul. Now, does it take any time at all to the soul of you who exists outside of time and space? See, your soul and your higher self, they are so vast. Even as they are downstepped energy, well, not the soul, but the higher self is downstepped energy, has a function that is different from soul. And yet
Mm-hmm.
soul flows through your higher self. But all time is now. So
Mm-hmm.
all expressions of love, they're not limited in any way. You're truly multi-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever lifetime you're in, or complete, you have that dimensionality at work. You have that freedom. You have that power to bring your light and your love. And so when we talk about, and Lazarus has talked about, bringing all your lifetimes home, you begin to understand, oh, it's already done. Because even while I'm living this life, and even while I'm expanding it and creating a new world of dominion, and I don't even know what that looks like yet, but it is assured. We just don't know what form we're going to choose for it because we're the ones in the physical plane, you see.
Mm-hmm.
But it's already done, and I've already experienced it. I've already come home. I've already come home to God Goddess. And because I do it consciously, all of my lifetimes benefit from that map.
Mm-hmm.
And they all come home too. And what does that mean? Well, in language, which is linear, by definition, it is you put one word after the other and you read it and it means something. And if you put it in a different order, it means something else. So language is linear. And
Mm-hmm.
when you recognize we're explaining concepts in a linear way,
Sure.
and yet it's not the truth because it's not linear, meaning it's
Mm-hmm.
not the highest truth. It's only a version that gets you there. But the understanding in your heart, in
Mm-hmm.
your mind, in your imagination exists outside of time and space. In the love, in the light, in the imagination. You are beyond time and space.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can understand and you can develop wisdom. And from that place of wisdom, the actions you take are different because they're imbued, the understanding is imbued with love and light. And now you recognize, oh, I've been trying to fix something that doesn't need to be fixed, or I've been holding out for the perfect answer when I've had it in me all along. So you see, it's those sorts of aha moments, and you've had many of them, and you will continue to have many.
Mm-hmm.
that let you know you're on track, that let you know I'm evolving, I'm more. I understand so much more about reality. And I'm making new choices every day that 30 years ago I didn't even think of. They were in my imagination then, but now I'm doing them. And so as you let in, you're operating on all those levels all at once. And when you go to dream at night, you're not just lying there.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the more real. You're healing, you're recharging. It doesn't really take any time. You're just going to be who you are. I'm going to dream, and dream equals creating something new, something outside of time and space, where I don't have to worry about the limits of reality as I know them. I'm going to go dream something new without regard to what I'm experiencing right now. And then when you wake up in the next morning, you've changed yourself. You're more of who you are. And so the you that wakes up doesn't necessarily have the same beliefs, doesn't necessarily have the same past. And some things, sometimes you see evidence in your illusion in the form of, wait a minute, I didn't put that there. It's like a little glitch. Your subconscious saying, hey, guess what? We made some changes.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's for you to look and see, oh, what did we change?
Mm-hmm.
What else did we change?
Mm-hmm.
Does that help?
It does. It does.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much, Tara.
We love you so.
I love you too.
All right, John, who is next?
It's Moni. Monica, are you there? Yeah. Hey, Monica, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yes, dear one. Where do we begin?
Yes. Yes.
Oops, you dropped out.
Hello.
Yep,
Yes,
there you
please repeat whatever you said.
Thank you. So that was so beautiful. I actually was in the. I mean, I feel like I feel amazing. It's just my head is spinning right now. But I did tap my head and even drank
Good.
food.
Yes, to ground. Absolutely.
Yeah, that works really great. Like with some cold water or cold tea. Thank you, Tara. Tara, I I really want to get clarification on something that I'm doing over. It's been over a year now, and I don't let people into my personal space or get into know I or ask any questions. And it was one person that quite a bit knew a lot that dig in, but I am and I we talked about this, but not in this detail I'm about to say. I just want to know like the behavior pattern. Was it like I know I was going through a hard time and I was involved in negativity. But going to the higher self, I know we talked about the energy shifting.
Absolutely.
Wait, go ahead, beautiful Tara.
Yes, that connection with higher self changes everything.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And so okay, so yes, I'm the creator, and I am going to creating process and manifesting. Excuse me. Um, has that energy swift with that person? Because I really find it to be very high compatibility. I know kind of the distance, and I know that there's something there that that's around him. And if you look at my age, it's like okay, I wanted someone to to take care of me, right? Because I wasn't looking before, but now I'm not really looking, and I am not going to force. But this one has really got my attention. Just want to see what do you see as concerning the energy now? Like, has it manifested to now I'm able to communicate, or I should wait because after he gets done for what he's going through, I know he's going through some legal battles. I think that I best wait because I know I'm going through some legal situations, Tara, and I'm hoping that I do win. Some of them is very difficult. Nothing that I did. And then my dream, Tara, was maybe perhaps going to law school, but I can't seem to pass a particular test, so that's what's holding me back. Anyway, I know I said
Okay, so let's talk about this in terms of the future, the optimal future.
yes.
So interestingly, there can be many reasons why you take a test and you don't pass it in the way that you need to, don't get the score that you need. It can be that there's resistance showing up, old beliefs showing up, whether well, I don't feel good enough, or when I fail, or whatever. But put that aside, because you've been working on all that stuff, and that's not the issue anymore. So now it's more about, am I listening to my higher self? Am I in tune with the optimal future? Now, the optimal future isn't necessarily doing something specific. Can be. When you connect with the optimal future, you might get a picture of what it is your life is made of, what the relationship you're in, or the job you're doing, or whatever. But it's not necessarily. Sometimes you need to go to the optimal future that's beyond that, where you don't know the form, but you know the energy. You recognize the energy. You're free to be anything. You're free to create anything. And in that level of freedom, there is a sense of peace and a knowing that I don't have to work very hard. I don't have to push against. I don't have to make this happen. I just need to be in that energy of feeling free to be me. And when you fill yourself up with that, so when you re-listen to this, as you do the exercise, just fill yourself up with that love and that light from your optimal future self. And then look at the now. Look at, okay, I know he's going through some legal stuff. What does my intuition tell me? Is it time to reach out? And you will get a yes or a no. And you just keep doing that process until it's shifted into a yes. Same with I want to go to law school. From the perspective of your optimal future, in that space of I am free to be, I can be anyone, anything, I can do anything. I am free to be. Now you look at, I want to go to law school. What part of me wants to go to law school? Is it my higher self? Is it the me that, if I'm already free to be, does law school matter anymore? It might. The answer might be, yeah, I still want it. I just have to get better at taking tests. I have to go do one of those test preparation courses, whatever they call, that many people do to prepare. Or you might be in that place of freedom. And you might see, I have an agenda. I want to fix something by going to law school. And you want to be free of that. Whatever it is, you can still go to law school, but don't go in order to fix something that's wrong. And this test is bringing that up in you. It's bringing up a resistance. It's telling you, not now, not yet. There's something to clear. There's something to be free of. And then when you look at it again, you're either going to want to go to law school and you're going to do well, or you're going to realize, you know what? So in the meantime, something else has shown up. That would also be fun. So we're not telling you which way it's going to go because you can create anything that your heart desires with harm to none, with elegance needs. But these are clues to what's popping up. These are clues, whispers of where to release something, where to heal something, where to step into the future and bring in that sense of freedom to be, and then look at it again. Does that help?
Yes. Is there like imaginary, thank you. It's beautiful. I connect a lot with the animal world, and if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't feel lonely. Go ahead.
Yes, no, go ahead. You are saying you connect with the underworld. So the
The-
unconscious mind.
yeah.
Yeah, the unconscious mind, the vast sea of possibility. Now you may be referring to souls who have passed on or who are lost or whatever. But understand the power of the underworld is the access to the unconscious. And there you move into a sea of possibility and you gather the beauty, gather the sacred, gather the silent. And then when you come back through to return to the here and now, you have changed everything. Does that make sense?
Yes. This planet Earth is clearing. Which is pretty interesting. It all makes really sense, and I am thinking about it at the moment as I speak, and I'll realize in my faith. And I there's going forward in the future. I really ask the universe, good health and good income, and I go to do earthly things, and some are really big events. As you can see, I'm facing law things to make certain things happen. So I appreciate for me being this beautiful planet, and I just want a little bit to enjoy. I've been taking care family and taking care of so much, like my mother and grandmother, and it was really not a good situation. And I always say I've been a guardian angel, and now I'm standing like the sun right now, with like they're gone. So that's why I hope in the optimum future that I do find that true person. But again, I don't, I see truth. What is to be, and enjoy what is to be in earth. There's a lot of beautiful things,
Absolutely.
Tara.
Yes, and
After
as you recognize, I am a light, a being of light, full of love, infinite love. And so part of what you bring into the earth plane, into that experience, are those qualities of love and light. And so as you've been aligning more and more with that understanding of who you truly are, your reality is changing. It is revealing to you the new. And so just keep at it. You're doing just great.
it's beautiful, and I have a blessing. But some obstacles they're coming up to get them out. so
Yes.
I can move forward, please.
Yes. And so as you request, hey, with elegance, with ease, with harm to none, these obstacles, have them, I'm willing to have the help from my higher self. I'm willing to have the support of the universe. I'm willing to have earth consciousness assist to remove the obstacles with harm to none.
It's beautiful. Yes.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. We love you so. And John, who is next?
Okay, it's Henry.
Yes, dear one.
Hey, Henry, you there?
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Hello, Tara. Thank you for. Uh, hmm, sorry, I had a weird message up on the screen. Thank you for the meditation.
Indeed.
At the, I now can't remember what happened, but at the time, it seemed very timely and seemed a good way to move through. From well, I've been feeling very disconnected this last week, and also just not getting anything done for the last few weeks. I mean, just in terms of my daily life, just and kind of not knowing what I want, and I've been on antibiotics and um, just it's I kind of losing the sense of the magical and the mysterious, and not meditating so very much, and at the same time, I'm also, because I have put in place some of the things we said last week. Um, I had an offer to which I've accepted, to go and act in a Shakespeare play in the UK,
Wonderful.
which is one of the things I wanted to do. And then, of course, all the things come up about all the organisation and all the money stuff and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, I've been offered money to do it, and I'm trying to keep level on that. And other things like, the other day I was just thinking, I want to go to a wild party. I haven't been to a wild party for a long time. And then I bumped into somebody and they say, do you want to come to this wild party? And so those things have been happening. And so it feels that it's there, but I just have this kind of background of just feeling, um, I don't know, can I really, I mean, today has been about, um, there's so many things that, I mean, I need to get a new phone, and I've been needing to do that for some time, and I just can't see my way through to making the decisions and those sort of things, and just thinking. So there's this kind of dichotomy, and I'm kind of hoping. I mean, I know last week was such a crucial week energetically, and I'm kind of hoping that because I'm letting go of some stuff, and I'm just, I'm hoping that it can be a kind of um, a place where things can change because I'm letting go of stuff, um, but letting go of kind of what I want and so on. But also when I'm talking about feeling disconnected, um, I'm not connected with many of my friends because they have been trying to help me with with stuff, and I haven't, they've got very frustrated that I haven't been doing enough on my own behalf, and so I'm feeling kind of disconnected in that way, and connecting with other people like a seniors group, which I'm going to now, but it's different. It's a different sort of. So I mean, everything is in a state of flux, but it feels very. I just can't really see where I'm going at all.
All right.
If you could
So
help.
certainly so. What we're sensing is, okay, I don't know what I want. I don't know where I'm heading. So choice is about choosing a direction rather than making a decision, which is about a specific thing, setting a goal or deciding what you're going to do next in the short term. I'm going to eat a meal, or I'm going to have a cup of tea. Those are decisions. I'm going to make that phone call that I'm going to make, or I'm going to explore something new is actually a choice. That's a direction. So you had some wonderful things happen in the last week.
Yeah.
And as you say, okay, what's the direction that I want to choose next? It's really about choosing the optimal future. And you can't get it wrong because it's optimal. But as you choose the direction of, I don't know how I'm going to get there, I don't know what it entails because I don't have the information yet.
Mm.
But I am going to choose to move forward with harm to none, with elegance and ease, towards an optimal future. Not just anyone, the optimal future in Dominion. Now, when you choose that, something happens right away. You begin to notice, well, I don't feel very at peace. I don't feel balanced. I don't feel in harmony. And that's part of what you've been dealing with, is that you're working with these energies of Dominion, of the new world. And what's popping up is what's not a resonant match.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so as you just recognize that, oh, well, that's what I'm dealing with. Okay, so I'm not there yet, but the good news is I am connected to it because this stuff is showing up.
Right. I had kind of noticed that. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And then it's just a matter of, much like Moni, her recommendation was, well, connect with your higher self and ask your higher self to remove the obstacles.
Yeah.
Ask the universe to remove the obstacles with harm to none, because some things are for you to choose differently, or to be aware of a belief or be aware of a decision you made. Those things are popping up for you. They're there to say, oh, is that still in there? I don't want that. What do you want instead? And then you choose something new. So but then there are other things which are just frustrating or struggle or difficulty that are part of a broader pattern. And those you can ask for intervention and say, I'm not motivated at all, but at the end of this time frame, I do need to have these things done. And I don't feel motivated right now. So maybe I'm lazy. Who knows? Maybe not. Maybe I'm just smart. I'm going to turn that over to my higher self. I'm just going to say, higher self, I don't feel like it right now, but I know I have to get it done. Help me get it done with harm to none, with elegance and ease. And then you just forget about it. And what you're going to notice is things are going to happen so that that thing gets done. You don't know what it is. You don't know how you're going to do it. You don't even know if you're the one that's going to do it. Because so much of the mind the way it's been trained in cause and effect, projects out a linear reality. I don't feel motivated, therefore I know it's not going to get done.
Mm.
But is that actually true? Is it actually true that just because you don't feel motivated right now, that something in the future happens or doesn't happen? No, that's not the way reality works. It's the way your mind works. It's the way your logic works. Has nothing to do with your desire, your imagination, your expectation. Maybe a little bit of expectation. Your expectation gets lower when you think something's not going to happen in the future that you want. But as you really let in, I go through my day as though I know. And that makes me upset.
Mm.
And then I spend my day upset. And then I don't get anything done. But so instead, I'm not motivated, but I still need to get that done. Higher self, help me create the reality where I get out of my own way and somehow that thing gets done. Does that help?
Oh, it makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
And
So we know that you've asked your higher self to take care of some things on occasion, but do you know that sometimes you have to ask more than once?
right,
And the reason is because you get in your own way, and part of you, the lesser self, pops up and says, "We're not asking for help. That's a failure." Or that's
right,
weak.
right.
Or nobody ever helps me. I'm all alone.
Yeah,
Whatever it is, the lesser self comes up with a rationale of why the higher self isn't going to help. So now you're in the lower resonance and you know your higher self can't come down to your resonance. So you have to go back up by asking. So work with that this week. You're
right.
doing great. You don't recognize it. You don't give yourself credit for it, and that's okay.
Well,
Because you can't prove it. It's that mentality of I have to feel a certain way. I have to have evidence. I have to connect that evidence to what I did or what I didn't do.
mm,
Then all is well. If things are
mm,
just logical, then I'm good. But as you, as a map maker magician, understand that isn't who you are. That's not who you are. Meaning you insist that reality be magical. You insist that you create it differently than the masses. That's part of your mandate as a map maker magician. And all of you have a little bit of this at work sometimes, where when you don't value who you truly are, when you're busy hiding it, even from yourself, and then you feel like a failure because you just couldn't get your act together and do it the way everybody else does it. When you really let in, I wasn't supposed to do anything the way everybody else did. That was my script. My script was do it differently. Make a new map. Evolve human consciousness. How is human consciousness going to get evolved if it does the same thing decade after decade? And so you're at that place in the time of the double where you're facing the you that has been comfortable pretending that doing it the normal way was good enough. Well, at least I was normal. At least I didn't get rejected too often. at least I kind of survived. Meanwhile, the map maker magician in you is saying, when are we going to get working on this? And you're feeling the pressure. Hey, this is the time. It's never been easier to make these maps. Let's do it. What maps? I slept through that class or that meditation or that session or whatever. But no, you didn't. You didn't sleep through anything. You're not lost. You feel like you're lost, and that's okay. That's valid. Not all of you, though. That's the lesser self. The lesser self doesn't have the tools, doesn't have the access to the tools. It's you, the more, that is the map maker magician. You, the more, has gathered all the tools and has the intuition, has the access to the magic, has the love and the trust and the gratitude. And really, it's a question of, can I trust how I feel to tell me when I'm on track? Well, not all of you are feeling people. Some of you are thinkers. So for you, Henry, you have to decide which one strengthens me, my thoughts or my feelings? Which one do I trust more? Which one helps me move forward? Now, it might be both. Might be a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But if you have one that you lean on and it always leads you to feel bad, don't use that one. Because that one's been, you might say, burdened with negativity.
So the thinking for me would be that, wouldn't it?
It's up to you to decide. Do you tend to trust what you're feeling? And if you're feeling bad, well, then you know for sure things are really bad. Or do you have the thought, things are going to go really bad. And now that I've had that thought, I can't shake it. And now I'm convinced it's all going to be, and I don't see why bother. Do you stay up in the mental plane, you see? Or do you have an emotion and then you stay there and you don't move? So one or the other, which one's heavier? Which one's more, which one resonates as the truth? So
Yes.
go ahead.
I think it's the thinking for me. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been feeling lots of more feelings have been coming more recently. And so that's changed the parameters as well, because I'm not quite sure what's going on there. But
the feelings are good because when you're used to thinking your way through things,
yeah,
and then you get convinced it's going to be bad, and then it is bad, and then oh, see, I told you it was going to be bad, and I should have listened to myself, and that is you might say a resonant match for the lesser self. And so you can get stuck there. You can, meaning not forever, but you can stay in that for too long. And then you wonder, how did all this time pass? But because you decide that is real, then you become immobile, or you have certain triggers that react, and you react a certain way all the time. It's always the same. So as you yourself, in you, the more you access your emotions, you access your strengths, you are responsive. And so for you, that's a way out of the pattern. Now, does it mean that the emotions are related to what's happening in the negativity? No. You have to go feel emotions about something else. You want to change the topic. You want to, so then you pick up a script, or you watch a video of one of the things you've done, and you remember, wow, that was really fun. I really enjoyed doing that one, or I really got good feedback. And now your whole vibration changes because you're in a memory of something that worked really well.
Right.
And now you can have the thought, this feels really good. I want more
Right.
of this. And then you can ask your higher self, help me get these things done. Because now you're connected. Now you can let in the help. Does that make sense?
Yeah, total sense about the way the things have been going. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And you've created some magic. But when you listen to all the things you haven't done, the value of what you did create diminishes.
Right.
And the intensity of what you didn't get done becomes the priority. So that needs to come back this way.
Right.
So that you value what you did create. All right.
Yes, it's been it's gone out of my head now, but it's been yeah. I mean, so much of my life was that I would think the terrible things that would happen, and then that would somehow mean that they wouldn't happen. And so, but then that's been changing recently, and so I've been thinking of bad things, and they've been happening, or I've been making what I think are really bad choices. Um, so I guess it's all just about recalibrating, isn't it? And doing what you said. Yeah. Right.
Recalibration is a good word for it.
Yeah.
Yes, beautiful. You're able to
Do, do,
see much more now than ever before because you have expanded your perceptions.
yeah.
So all of this information that you weren't even concerned with 5, 10 years ago, didn't even really know how it worked. You weren't worried about it. You just went through life and responded and it was fine. But now you have a higher sensitivity to when you are engaging energies that don't serve the future you're creating. So when you're dabbling in negative future think, as you say,
Yes. I'm wanting to just give up.
recognizing, oh, that that feels more real now. And when it feels more real, then I'm really scared.
Yes.
And then
Right.
I really
Right.
do create it because I am
Right.
scared and I don't make the right decision and so on and so on. But before you could have the thoughts and it didn't have the impact.
Right.
But now you're more sensitive and you're more responsive, more responsible for the thoughts. And so now you're more willing to take responsibility. In other words, you're willing to respond differently when you remember to do so. You're getting there.
There's a very quick question.
It is
Sorry,
a
go on.
skill. It is a skill that you are developing.
Oh, good. Thank you. There's a very quick question, rather like last week, if you don't mind. I just realizing how important Madagascar crystals have been in my life. I have so many of them. And in fact, I have visited Madagascar. I went on a filming trip directing something. And I was just wondering, it was just becoming very present with me. I was just wondering what that was about.
So you may recall from Lazarus, one of the crystal workshops, when Lazarus shared about Madagascar crystals. They are the least imprinted by civilization, current world, modern world civilization.
Right.
And so when you interact with them, you're drinking in the unadulterated love of the goddess, meaning there's no interfering energy. There's no overlay that you have to fight through.
Right.
It's a true experience of the feminine energy and the love and the light that the goddess is.
Wow.
And so as you really let that in, oh, they're here to help me. I'm a resonant match to these people because, by definition, because they're in my reality. I'm a resonant match for this.
Right.
So it's part of me already. Because you see, the temptation is to think, well, I'm not enough and that's why I need them. That's not the way reality works. Reality manifests because you're a resonant match. If you weren't, you wouldn't have them in your reality. So as you begin to really understand, oh, they're reflecting my internal values, my light, my love, my connection to the goddess that hasn't been affected by the modern world. And to just let that be a foundation for who you're becoming.
Thank you.
All right. We love you.
Thank
All
you.
right. And who is next, John?
Helen. Oh. Where'd she go? There she is.
Yes, dear one.
I'm really cranky these days, and I don't know why. Like, even in the meditation tonight, I just felt a lot of anger. And even this, like, and, I've been making these huge shifts. And even this weekend, I was doing an exercise that Abraham suggested where you put, it's called a focus wheel, I think. You put what you really want. So I put, John Francois and I are doing the lottery. And she said, it could be financial abundance. And then you put abundance in the beginning. And then you actually put 12, doesn't have to be 12, but things around that really about what you already have. So you're putting your attention on what you already have. And as I'm doing that, I'm like, oh my God, I already have the abundance that I want, and I really felt it. And so I don't know why I'm cranky. And in the meditation, I don't think I ever got out of the crankiness. I mean, maybe I did, and I just didn't. Maybe I didn't feel it, but it
All
just.
right. And so let's talk about if you already have the abundance and then you're programming for what you want that represents those things, but you recognize, well, I already have abundance. So what happens to the expectation regarding getting what you want? Is there a difference? Is it supported or is it negated?
It seems superfluous. It's like, why am I bothering? I already have it.
And so what is there, what needs to be focused on instead? So you can still create the abundance there, but what's the higher priority? Because what's coming up is, well, if that's feels superfluous because I've already created so much, the next question is what's next? What is beyond that level of abundance? What's important? And so that's the process that you're engaged in. So you can see why you might be cranky because you don't have the answer yet. You don't know what's next. Now you know some things, but they're vague. They're in the optimal future. They're in dominion. They're in the new world. And when you begin to look at, okay, so what are my skills? What am I masterful at? That supports me having that optimal future. Because part of you doesn't allow yourself to know I created that abundance. I did. Not alone. So in there is something coming up around, can I trust it? I feel all alone. Who's going to help me get the next thing? How can I make it happen? How can I force it? How can I get it faster? So what's coming up is the lesser self strategy of how to control the physical plane. And when you remove the control, what are you left with? Well, I'm vulnerable. I'm not safe. Perhaps. You know that you are. You have worked on yourself long enough, many, many years now. You've uncovered so very much. You know how reality works. You know that your beliefs are your protection. If I believe I am safe and I look for the evidence and I verify it over and over again, I really am safe right now in this moment. Well, then I am safe, aren't I? Now you're also very empathic. And tonight is the eve of the election. And so when you let in, how much am I picking up from my environment? And how empowered do I feel around creating a positive reality? So the answer isn't to tell us how much you do. The response is, I'm going to choose to feel empowered. With harm to none, with elegance and ease, I am not going to decide that I'm not powerful based on some external outcome. Because it's tempting to do that. So as you let in, okay, what I'm dealing with is I'm frustrated and I don't know if I can create what I want. Because what I actually want hasn't happened yet. And so it's not in the realm of the lesser self. It's not in the realm of what is known. And that creates an anxiety and a fear and a dread and a reaction. How familiar is the feeling you're feeling?
Helen? Oops.
Sorry, I got muted and I couldn't unmute. No, it's very familiar, and it's interesting. Like with the election, I think for me, I've been very clear. Whether Kamala is elected or Trump is elected, I'm going to be fine. Harry and I are going to be fine. Like, what the U.S. is going to be fine. And I'm very clear about that. And I actually think there are some real positive reasons why Trump would be better than Kamala. And then there's very clear reasons why Kamala would be better than Trump. But I don't actually think it's a pure, home run with Kamala, unlike most people around me. And so I haven't been paying attention. I'm like, we'll know what the outcome is when we know. And I'm not going to spend, weeks reading articles about the latest, polls. So I actually haven't been winding myself up about it. And And I think, and I've had this idea that John Francois is now working on with me about, since the US's global war on terror, we've spent like $4 to $6 trillion and sent like, I think it's 2 million soldiers overseas and killed, I forget how many 100,000, like 200,000 kids. And I mean, it's a crazy investment. And, X percent of the soldiers now have mental illness or anxiety or depression. And it's this, if we had taken that $4 to $6 trillion, how better could we, like, where would life be in the US? How would we be different? And I wanted to, like, I get annoyed kind of when I'm in these parties where everyone's talking about, I'm going to Pennsylvania to knock on doors, and there's this absolute commitment. Like, Kamala is of course better, and I'm trying to shift the conversation a little these days. I mean, starting tomorrow I won't have to, hopefully, but where, how can we create a better country? Because I think we're making we are shifting, but it feels like we're making a lot of bad decisions right now, regardless of which party is in office. And I'm kind of bored with these conversations about, let's go polling, let's go to Pennsylvania, Kamala, Kamala, Kamala. I think our political system's broken, and this is the time of the black dog. And it's time for us to create new systems that are going to make a better future, an optimal future. And it's not about a specific person being in office. And it feels absurd that everyone's obsessed. And I'm not. I find it annoying, I guess. I don't even know that there's a point to me like rambling about this.
So similar to what Henry's dealing with is really understanding I'm a map maker magician. And so I am focused on something different.
Mm.
And in that difference, you work your magic. However, you don't get the masses agreeing with you. You're operating at the upper end of the spectrum on the dew line before anyone else knows. And so that can feel lonely.
Mm.
But to your credit, you're co-creating with other mapmaker magicians. And as you recognize, oh, those interactions, I need to allow those to matter enough to offset this, that I'm not part of the mainstream. I don't want to be part of the mainstream. It's not where I'm supposed to be. And yet there's a part of me that was trained to please that part of society, to please the family members that are normal, quote unquote. So as you just let that go and say, no, I'm here. I'm part of a different tribe. It was by design. I was supposed to feel alienated. I was supposed to feel isolated so that I would create something different. But I don't need to stay in those emotions. I don't need to stay in those patterns. And you haven't. And you're not. And you are creating something new. But giving it weight, just like Henry, it's so easy to think that it has less value than the belonging to the consensus. But when you really start valuing what you bring, then this comes back up and balances it out again, and it becomes stronger. So it's an exercise of strengthening your values. What matters to me? These things matter to me, and that shows me more. It's a clue to the soul that I am, to the vibration of my soul. And this reality is an exploration of that. And when I remember that, I feel better. Or are we assuming that you do? Because then there's nothing to be angry about. There's nothing to struggle against, is there?
Yeah. Yeah. And it does feel like, I mean, is it like kind of metaphysically, if I were like, oh, Kamala or else where it's a catastrophe, then I'm on the game board. But and, but I could also say, oh, well, I know I'm going to be fine with either candidate, but Kamala is my preference. Then I'm not on the game board. Is that correct?
The game board is thinking there's a competition happening and that you have to belong to one group or the other. It doesn't matter. See, if you're for Trump, then you're going to want to belong to the people who support Trump, and you're going to rail against the ones who aren't. If that's being on the game board. Or if you're for Kamala and then you're talking to people who aren't for her, and then you're railing against. So that it's just, the game board is trying to fit in with people who disagree with who you are. When the freedom comes from recognizing, wait a minute, I don't even care about this game board. That's not my priority. My priority is making maps. My priority is being loving. My priority is making a difference. Now, I plan to make a difference in this arena by programming and dreaming and bringing in the new world and all of that. But I don't make the difference by convincing them that they're wrong or allowing them to tell me that I'm wrong. See, that's the game board, that there's a right and a wrong, that there's a winner and a loser, that there's duality. The game board is the chauvinism values one over the other. When in truth, each candidate who's running, doesn't matter if it's the primary parties, the two main ones, or if it's one of the others, each individual brings something, reflects something, and none of them represent it all. Because the truth of the matter is exactly what you said, which is that I'm dreaming the dream where the country is evolving, is growing, is changing. And I just want whichever candidate is for the highest good, with harm to none, for the process of change.
Which could be Trump, because he's absolutely the black dog.
Yeah, you don't know which one's right or wrong.
Right.
It's not
right.
When you go down right or wrong, you
Right.
hit dead ends over and over again, don't you?
Right.
But yes, it could be either. The truth of the matter is you're focused on the future beyond the election.
Right. And there's something I was listening to my morning Abraham Hicks lecture, and Abraham was suggesting if you meet somebody who has a different opinion than you actually don't want to make them feel bad or wrong. So your best answer to that person, so if we're talking about which is better cheese, blue cheese or Swiss cheese, just to make an absurd example. And I think it's blue cheese and you think it's Swiss cheese. If I'm trying to make you understand why you're stupid or wrong, that's not a good thing. So you should just say something like, "Oh, well, that's really interesting. I hadn't thought about that before. I'll consider that," instead of trying to present ideas about why blue cheese is the best cheese. Maybe that's too stupid an example, but
Not at all.
I found that
What Abraham is guiding you towards is less resistance to the contrast. So the contrast is presented. I like Swiss cheese, but this person likes blue cheese. There's a lot of ways the conversation could go. What's wrong with me that I don't like what they like? What's wrong with them that they don't like what I like? So anywhere where there's a competition set up, the truth of the matter is you're the reality creator. So the resistance is actually your resistance. But you don't see that and you don't act as if that's true. You don't even notice it until there's the friction manifests in emotion or other thoughts or disconnection, that sort of thing. Does that make sense?
yeah.
However, so one of the things that you want to be careful about is judging yourself when you don't create what you want. What we've been proposing, similar to what Abraham says, okay, well, the important thing is to be a resonant match for what you do want. But guess what? You have to know what you want first. So as you reach for what you want, what pops up is what's not a resonant match. Not for no reason, but because it's telling you, hey, I've got a belief around this. I've got an attitude around this. I have a negative thought or an emotion complex around this. That's a problem. And I can't be in this new resonance if I'm still holding on to this. Now, the answers you're complex, so it's not going to be the same answer every time, is it? And as you reach for what you want, something new is going to keep popping up until they're all cleared out and you're a resonant match for what you want. The first thing you see when you reach for what you want is what's related to you not having it. How is it a problem that you don't have it yet? Then once you work through some of that stuff, then, well, but I'm okay with having it. And I'm even okay not knowing how I'm going to get it. So why don't I have it? Something else is popping up. And it might be a little deeper. It might be, well, ultimately, I can't really justify having it. I don't know that I deserve it. So then that has to be brought to the surface, looked at, released. Well, but that's crazy. Of course I deserve it. I just have to say I deserve it. I just have to know I deserve it because there is no measure of there's nobody keeping score except me. And so it's up to me to let myself off the hook eventually and recognize I do deserve it just because I want it, just because I'm creating it, just because I'm the reality creator. And why would I put in a framework where I have to struggle and prove that I'm deserving first before I have what I want? Because that's a script. Those are parameters of one way to create reality. But why would I pick that one? So then when
having what I want, does that include getting somebody to agree with me?
So then you have to look at, okay, I need them to agree with me. Why? What's important about it? What would I know to be true about me if they agreed with me? Well, I would know I was worth loving. So now you've uncovered, oh, when did I decide agreement equals love? When did I decide that? Oh, well, it makes sense. In my family, it was very clear. If I don't agree with them, I get punished. Or if I don't agree with them, I suffer. I don't get what I want. I have to agree with them to get what I want. Oh, is that how it's related? So in order to have what I want, I have to find somebody to agree with. So I have to create this scenario over here where somebody doesn't agree with me first, so that I notice that I have that belief. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we're just giving you one scenario. Is it always that way? No, because you're complex. Your thoughts and emotions and internal process is complex. So so it comes down to, well, how can I possibly figure all this stuff out? And we would suggest that it does look pretty hopeless when you try to do it alone. You actually do require your higher self. You actually do require something more than you, someone outside the set of you, outside the physical plane set, and that's your higher self. To help you, guide you in your thoughts and your emotions and your process as you ask for more elegance, as you require it, as you claim and demand your right to have elegance and ease with harm to none. It occurs that way, begins to occur that way, because you said so. Well, why didn't I say so sooner? Because you didn't know. It wasn't revealed yet. There was still the belief that you could fix it. There was still the belief that, hey, if I can just fix myself, I'll get what I want. If I just get their agreement. Not recognizing I had to put a whole lot of stuff in my shadow in order to match them. Because they're different than I am. Individually, each one is unique. Each one is individual on their own journey. So by trying to get agreement, I'm pulled off of my journey. It's a tangent. And I have to put a whole bunch of stuff in my shadow and pretend it doesn't matter when it actually does matter. And then I get to, on my journey, reclaim and recognize, oh, I probably shouldn't have spent all that energy getting agreement. I probably should have spent some time setting boundaries and deciding, okay, you're different, you're individual, you're unique, I am too, and that's valuable. But your society doesn't actually support that yet either. More and more, you are creating that. But your society actually supports you being the same. And that has been a tough one. It has been a source of pain for many of you. It's been the source of not belonging that your adolescent requires. A source of shame and pain. But you are here to heal that, to make a new map. Dominion is about each of you standing in your individuality, being a light and a love that is unique, a unique soul expressed. Everyone, every individual in your reality. And you can imagine the beauty of that world. You can imagine the love that is a part of your experience. That's the map you are making. And you are not there yet, but you are on your way. And you have more of those qualities now than ever before in your life, in this lifetime, in any lifetime. Does that make sense?
Yes. So then I'm back to that sort of.
It takes courage to make that map. Go ahead. What were you saying?
So I can kind of see, like in my crankiness of the last few days, I can see being at the party, or just I'm annoyed at these conversations. They seem frivolous, or not the point.
So just that thought, though, Helen, that thought, it's a frivolous conversation. That's a disconnecting thought.
Mm-hmm.
So that's protecting you somehow. in that thought. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't be discerning and say, oh, this topic is frivolous, whatever. But when you have it in the context of, okay, I'm supposed to be having fun, I'm supposed to be connecting, I'm supposed to be in communion, in community, and then you have a judgment, something triggered that judgment. Something was threatening, and the judgment shows up. It looks like benign, doesn't it? Well, what does it hurt anybody if I think they're frivolous? It looks benign, but actually it disconnected you from being connected. But if being connected means agreement, well, of course you would disconnect, because that doesn't serve you at all. Because agreement means sacrificing aspects of self. And that cost is too great. So the self-preservation is a judgment. I got to protect myself. I got to separate. I got to disconnect. I cannot agree because it doesn't match my values. However, how could you have done it possibly differently?
Well, I was thinking afterwards, I'd like to just start asking people, hey, if you had $4 trillion, what would you do with it? And how could we, like, the one person who I butted heads with the most at this party was a school teacher. She taught, like, I forget, fourth grade or something. And it's like, oh, well, how many fourth graders are there in the country? I should have said, I think, like, and if you guys had $4 trillion, what could you have done with it? To me, that seems, then you're kind of trying to imagine what you could do with the money in the future instead of the absurd ways we're spending it now on the military.
So there's no right conversation. There's connection, building rapport. If it's somebody you don't even like, then why even talk to them? If it's somebody you like and you really appreciate them for who they are being, that leads questions in a certain direction. I'm really interested in you. What are you up to? What's happened since the last time I saw you? And if they start going down some tangent that you're not that interested in, oh, okay. It's been great to see you, catch up with you later. So you do have boundaries that you can have. And as you say, well, I really am curious about this concept that I'm pursuing. This is important to me. So it's important, Helen, to actually present it as, this is kind of important to me. I've been thinking about this. What do you think about it? Now, you may or may not get an answer that you like, but you'll get more information than you had before you asked it. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes. I guess there is something.
As long as you don't have a requirement for their agreement. Because if you do, then you're manipulating. Then you've set a standard of, I'm not going to love you unless you agree with me. Does that make sense?
It does. I get, there's something, it feels like this Kamala is so great, Trump is, and it's not even Kamala is so great, it's just Kamala is not Trump. Just seems narrow-minded and like a group of lemmings. And then the people are Trumpers who are like, all the Democrats are evil. It's the same thing. I guess I have the same feeling from both groups. And I feel like there's something, dangerous is too harsh a word, but there's something to me dangerous, because I can't figure out a better word, about, okay, you're liberals and Kamala is not Trump, and that I do find threatening. I do find I find any group think threatening, and I find that it's an uncreative, be a sheep kind of thought. I don't disagree. I mean, I do feel like I have this preference. I do think the country might be better off with Kamala, but I'm not sure about that because I don't know magically all the things that could happen if Trump were president. And it does seem really narrow-minded to assume just because somebody's not Trump, they're better. I just, even just thinking about it, I find it annoying. There is something threatening. I do. I find it threatening somehow. Unsafe.
So continue to look in the arena of what does agreement mean to me?
Mm-hmm.
And how is it a problem? And what do I want instead? Because you actually know what you want. You want everyone to be fully self-expressed. You want everybody to be an individual. That's the new world. So when faced with we're not there yet, it is upsetting. It is restrictive. It is as though, what's wrong with this picture? It's not my dream. It's not where I'm heading. It's not here yet.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
the nature of politics too. The party politics system is you have to pick your group and then stick with it. So in that sense, you're recognizing, by definition, it makes me include choices that I don't necessarily agree with.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather pick and choose in item by item what I believe, topic by topic.
Yeah. It's interesting you're saying this because I've been programming that people go and vote tomorrow with mirrors that surrounding the individual voters so that none of the propaganda bullshit, advertising garbage, poll stuff and rubbish affects their vote, and that they go and vote what they think their truest and best, highest ideals are. And so that's what I've been programming for, not for Kamala or Trump. And it's so funny that that's exactly it. I want everyone. I feel really great if whoever won because they got the majority vote of people really voting their heart. That's their heart and not because somebody's influenced them.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Tara.
Yes, we love you so. All right, and we believe one more.
Yes, Nicole.
It's already 10:30. Does Sarah still want to talk?
It's up to you. If you would like to wait until next week, that is fine too. It might be more in depth, or it is up to you.
Okay, we'll talk about it. Yeah. On Friday, I had a session with John and Katrina, which was and I did feel that there was change in me. Things have changed. So over the weekend, I've been thinking, how would what is it that has changed, and can I put it in words or something? And then I kept thinking about it, and then I realized it was my choice. I'm the one who's choosing my limitation, my physical limitation, because I'm the one who's imposing them on myself. Then I was asking myself the question was, if I truly believe I create my reality, and I hopefully, honestly hope that I do believe that, then why am I creating the reality that I don't want? That I'm not creating the reality I want, the dream, to live my dream, to do the things that I want to do. Then what's there? Then if I'm not able to do that, then why am I here? If I came here to be a musician and a powerful one at that, and I can't even create the reality I want for myself.
Is there a question in that?
Yes, and because I want to find out
Yes,
why.
absolutely. An awareness that, oh, okay, the premise is I create my own reality. The premise is that I must be on some level choosing what I have manifest. There's also the assumption that in choosing that, I'm choosing a limitation. I'm choosing to be limited. And that is perplexing because, well, why am I not automatically focused on what I do want? Why am I not automatically focused on making the maps? Now, we will remind you that yes, could you have created it differently? You could have, perhaps, but you created what you created. And so there is a level of forgiveness required. Of all the possibilities, of all the ways to learn about my attachment to my limitations, I created something that has had long consequence and has really helped me feel the separation from changing, making changes in the physical plane. But I'm here to be magical. I'm here to make maps around changing reality. But for the last few years, I've been focused on really understanding earth consciousness. How much can I actually change physical reality? Is it really an illusion? And on the other hand, I've also been exploring how it keeps me safe to stay limited. And what you want to understand is you're not doing that just for you. You're doing that to bring all your lifetimes home and to evolve human consciousness because it takes a shift in consciousness to be willing to show up as who you are, as who you truly are. And there hasn't been the permission. The chauvinism hasn't allowed you to be who you are.
Oh, believe me, because this is, to me, that's what's playing out right now, is the chauvinism.
Yes.
At worst, the ugliest part of the chauvinism is playing itself out.
Yes. Now it's coinciding. Many of you are at that time of the double. So you're dealing with, what does it mean to age? What do I actually have a choice about longevity? Or am I going to be a victim of old age?
No, but you see, I don't have that. I mean, honestly,
Good.
I believe that old age, the way people talk about old age, I don't feel that limitation.
Good.
Because again, I feel that's a choice. I can live as healthy as I want to, as capable of my brains as I can to. So I don't feel that limitation, and I don't even encourage that conversation because I feel, and then for death and dying, I feel very strongly. The matter of fact, I'm going to renew it. I have a death script.
Yes.
That's the way I'm going to die, and that's how I'm going to do it.
Okay, so we want to get back to the chauvinism and
Yes.
why you are noticing it. Because the point, what's perplexing is why does it seem stronger now? When
Because
I'm clearing it out. But it's because of your expanded perceptions.
Yeah.
And you're seeing the connections more clearly now. And you're also much more clear that wow, this has been operating under the radar for most of my life.
Yeah, and I've seen it even in my own family.
Yes.
My,
And you're now aware, wow, I couldn't put my finger on it. It was invisible when I was a child. It was invisible when I was an adolescent. It became more known to me as I grew into my adulthood and as I claimed my spiritual journey and worked with my higher self and all of that. And I've healed it in myself. But now the world is healing it. Now it's a mass conscious healing that's happening. And so as you recognize, oh, this is good news, I don't have to interpret it as there's something wrong with me. No, there's everything right with me. I've made the map and now the world's catching up. There's less chauvinism. It's breaking down. It's not needed anymore. It's part of the mechanism that was chosen to recognize the separation from and the longing for, the pain. But there's no requirement for the pain anymore. You've shifted enough. You've evolved enough. Now, that doesn't mean there's not cleanup. Doesn't mean that you're not going to have some choices to make around how much am I going to let this out here as it evolves impact me. And it's a reminder, okay, so what's next? To keep dreaming the dream that's next for the world, because this is ending and it needs new energy to replace it with. And that's where the dreaming comes in. All of you are dreamers as well. And so to dream that new dream, you're being reminded, oh, this is ending. I've ended it in me. And I'm frustrated that it's still showing up out here. But in order for it to truly disappear, I've got to replace it with something new. And so that's the next step. To dream that dream, to weave that new fabric, to bring in the new energies.
that's a meditation I'm going to do when I'm finished.
Yes, beautiful.
The River Woman. I'm going to see the River Woman again because this is now the new tapestry.
Exactly.
Creating a new tapestry was better, more beautiful than the other one.
Exactly. And you can really feel the excitement about that because you know you've done the work. You've done the work. It's not about fixing and changing the past. It's about bringing in the new. And that's exciting. Wonderful. We love you so.
But Tara, I'm sorry, it's late, so I know you want to go. But why I'm imposing those limitations on myself? That I'm not creating the reality that I want. Is that a dream that I should be dreaming, or is it?
So when you look at the so look in the arena of we're going to say community, but we really mean communion.
You mean what?
So your dream involves building community. And there is an old picture of how you were going to do that, which you have set aside, and you have a new version of how it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But what if you don't yet really know how it's going to happen? What qualities do you need to be? Do you need to strengthen in order to receive the unknown? So there is a big part of you that's willing. But the lesser self is still looking for a guarantee. And so as you work more with bringing the lesser self forward into, hey, we've got a new foundation of safety. That's the holdup. Because the lesser self still needs to know, if I take this step forward and start manifesting, will I be safe?
I did work with my lesser self because I went to, talk to her and ask her what does she want and, communicate with me. And then I went to my higher self and gave her it and give it back to her.
Beautiful. Yes, do it again.
Exactly. But another thing while you were saying this, I remember from the beginning of dreaming my dream, it's always been that it would be the right time and the right place. So now you said that, I wonder if that, and
And you're feeling the pressure. It's time. I have the place. It's the right time. So it is coming. It is happening. And it's more than you dreamed. It's more relevant.
but you see,
Matters to many more than you. So as you really let that in, oh, if I just let it carry me, what does that mean? Can I do that? Can I allow that? Is it safe? So work with it from that perspective and start to really have fun with the futures creating me. I just need to show up. And I'm learning how to show up. I've been changing. I've been expanding. I can perceive more now. I have more tools than ever before. I'm more willing. I'm more ready. And I don't want time to be an issue here.
I think I was speaking to a guy that was saying to Katrina, I got that letter from somebody who wanted to buy my land and said, you have this vacant land. I want to buy it. And wow, that word vacant really hit me, just like, wow.
So you could hear it as vacant, as in useless.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Or you could hear it as vacant, as in clean slate.
Oh.
So as you rework it, say, okay, I did hear it as useless. And what's the point of doing anything with it? Because I'm not enough, or whatever it was that came up. But that was the lesser self talking. The map maker magician in you says, oh, I'm weaving a new tapestry. There's something new. And I have a clean slate. I have the opportunity to add even more magic, more beauty, more healing, more love than I did before because of who I've become. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, it's happening. As you wake up into my dream is coming alive, it's happening. And just see what pops up. Judgments, negative emotion, whatever, just let it go. Okay, I could doubt myself. I could feel bad that I haven't done it yet. But I don't choose that. I'm going to choose to be open to a future that's creating the present against the backdrop of the past. And then look for the magic. Ask for the miracles. We know you have been. This isn't saying you don't do this already.
And when you're
It's a little shift that has to happen every so often when you start feeling guilty or bad that it hasn't happened yet. And what were you saying?
No, I said, since you told me that, because I'm asking for little miracles. Since you said ask for big miracles, I've been asking for big miracles.
Yes. Yes. And they're coming.
Yeah, I bet I'm getting a little bit impatient.
Of course. All of you are impatient, and that's not a bad thing. That's the contrast that Abraham talks about. That's that mechanism that tells you, I don't have what I want yet. And that's a problem. And the question becomes, which tools are you going to pick up? Are you going to pick up the tools of the lesser self, or are you going to pick up the tools of you the more? Because in that frustration, if you connect to higher self, you open to a whole different tool bag. And that's what you're each doing, is pivoting from the lesser to you the more. And yes, you have to do it frequently because you're creating a new pathway until it becomes the primary. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Beautiful. We love you so. All right. And each of you, so wonderful, the exploration of who you are and who you are becoming. Understanding who you truly are already is evidenced, always was, but wasn't permitted to be expressed in your world when you came into this realm. But more and more you have freed yourself up, and as you really let that be more real, allow that to be your safety. All right, and so we go for now. We go with love and peace until next time, as we bring Katrina back. We love you so.
Thank you, John.